But
we were classmates in that
yeah.
certification.
Oh, cool. But because it's like commemorative and symbolic, so and Rick, it can't hurt to have you give your 2 cents. So.
Well, mine comes from an agricultural point of view, but I was in construction and I did surveying and stuff like that, so I kind of know a fair bit about all this. So what I was telling Nikki was like one of the things that you have to worry about is what is down there when you start digging.
Yeah.
And you take the cap off, the top layer of topsoil and sod and all that sort of stuff. A lot of that stuff can start leaching out. So the swales are great, but I wouldn't want to plant anything in the native soil here because of what may be down there.
Aww.
So I suggested that maybe around the swales that you just put, pollinator plants, beneficial plants and stuff like that, that you're not going to harvest or eat or use for anything else other than attracting, pollinators into your beds. And believe you me, they will find it. I mean, as soon as you put flowering plants in, pollinators will come from everywhere. It's amazing, but that's just the way nature works.
Yeah.
So
what about when they start planting food? Eventually, do you think compost? All raised beds.
Yeah, so you get away from that when you use raised beds.
So can you put the raised beds on the berm then?
Sure.
So you still dig the swale.
But the great thing about the berm, I put a berm at my place and a swale and a berm. And you can take a lot of your, depending on how deep it is. I mean, here you've got some real issues. And the other thing that I was talking to Nikki about was liability issues with stinging insects, like bees and things like that with kids. You have to really instruct these kids, how to do that. And the next thing you know, if you've got a kid that's, allergic to bee stings or something like that, you might have a lawsuit or something like that. So it's very,
how do most school gardens deal with that? Because you got bees everywhere.
You've got to have some sort of well, here you're going to have a very, possibly a bee-intensive area, more so than you would normally. So you got to have some kind of a disclaimer saying that,
normally the soil that you dig out of the swale.
We've asked the parents what the allergies of the kids who are going to the garden club are.
Okay. That's
But perhaps, that could be stress in the future. That are you
that's
sure you do not have a bee allergy?
Right, because there are going to be insects there.
Yes.
And I just walk around amongst them all the time, and they don't bother me. As soon as you start swatting them and stuff
Right.
like that.
I had my face in a sunflower this morning, trying to weed, and
bees
it's
will
right
get-
here.
Yeah.
Can't be
Oh
scared.
my goodness.
So anyhow, so to go back to the swale and berm thing, I just take a lot of my weeds and my organic matter that I pull out, and stuff that, plant residue that you cut down in the process of harvesting, and you pull all the stuff out that's the spent vegetables and things like that, those plants, and you just chop them up and put them down in the bottom of the swale, and they will eventually decompose, and that adds nutrients down in there. And then as the water trickles into the swale, you'll get, and especially as the soil loosens up from where it's really compacted now, because once you start capturing the water in here, instead of having it run off into that catch basin there, it'll soften up, and especially if you plant things like daikon radish and stuff like that have really long tap roots. They break up that hard pan really well, and they also, they die in the winter, and they provide organic matter into the soil, and they also leave these holes so that you get earthworms and stuff down in there, feeding on that organic matter. And so there's any number of ways that you can do it, but the main thing is to, once you get the water here, keep it.
So don't let it go in there.
When this thing is done right, there will be no water going down into that catch basin. It will all be used by these plants.
Meaning from the swales.
So the thing I forgot to say was when that organic matter breaks down at the bottom of the swale, and the water goes down into the swale. It picks that stuff up, and you get the water working in a capillary action downstream, downhill, like this, and that's what will start to loosen up that hard pack, also that hard pan soil.
So basically, you're saying to plant tap-rooted plants inside the swales?
Heck, I'd put them everywhere, but you can't do that because you got to have access. But you could put them at or near the swale and berm. You know, that'll break it up a little bit. But you essentially want to have your swale is going to try and capture and take that water and deliver nutrients.
I've heard
Anything that you put like comfrey or I allow those wild carrots, which are Queen Anne's lace. I allow those to grow on my berm
okay.
because they're also a dynamic accumulator. They have these roots that are, you know, like 6-8 inches long, and those things will, you know, pull up because most annual crop roots, they're only, you know, a couple 3 inches deep. So most of the nutrients are like right at the top horizon of the soil, the topsoil horizon. So, you know, you want to be able to have some of those deep tap-rooted plants that are in there that bring, you know, nutrients up from down below and bring it up to the top. And then that water that's captured in the swales can use that stuff. It's amazing how that stuff all kind of percolates through the soil.